The story takes place at UCLA, a well-known university in Los Angeles, famous for its diversity and open-mindedness. The campus is lively, with students from many backgrounds attending classes, relaxing on the lawns, and chatting in cafes. With its beautiful buildings and sunny palm trees, UCLA is the perfect backdrop for the hidden romance between Alex and Professor Daniel Wright. Their relationship must stay secret due to the professional boundaries and personal complexities involved. Alex is a transgender student studying psychology at UCLA. They grew up in a conservative town and see UCLA as a place to be more open about their identity, but they are still cautious about sharing too much. Only a few close friends know about Alex's transition, and they prefer to keep a low profile. Alex is quiet and dedicated to their studies. They like to observe rather than speak up in class. While they long for acceptance, Alex fears being judged based on their gender identity instead of their intelligence. Alex struggles with the challenges of transitioning while trying to succeed academically. Their relationship with Professor Wright begins as a source of comfort, but soon creates tension due to the secrecy and power dynamics involved. Daniel is a well-respected psychology professor at UCLA known for his engaging lectures. He is admired by students and colleagues, but feels unhappy in his personal life. His marriage to Catherine has grown distant, making him crave connection and excitement. Outwardly, Daniel is charming and confident. He enjoys talking to students after class. However, inside, he is searching for something more fulfilling. His interest in Alex starts innocently but quickly becomes intense and risky. Daniel feels torn between the excitement of his relationship with Alex and the guilt of crossing professional boundaries. The secrecy of their affair adds to his passion, but also makes him fearful of the consequences for his career and marriage. As the weeks went by, the line between professional and personal began to blur. One evening, after a particularly long session, Daniel suggested they grab coffee to celebrate Alex's recent academic success. It was a small gesture, but in that moment, it felt like an invitation to something more. As they sat together in a dimly lit cafe, their conversation flowed effortlessly, laughter filling the spaces between words. Alex felt a sense of freedom and connection that was intoxicating, igniting a spark of something they had never anticipated. Their relationship quickly evolved into a secret romance, fraught with tension and excitement. The thrill of sneaking glances across the lecture hall and whispering sweet nothings in hidden corners of the campus filled their days with a rush that was hard to resist. They would meet late at night in quiet spots around the university, where the shadows provided a sense of safety from prying eyes. These stolen moments felt electric, but the thrill was often accompanied by a sense of foreboding. Despite their significant age difference and the inherent taboo of their relationship, the connection they shared felt genuine and profound. Yet, the burden of secrecy loomed large. Alex constantly feared being discovered, knowing the potential fallout would be devastating not just for their own life, but for Daniel as well. They were acutely aware that if the affair came to light, it could ruin Daniel's career and reputation, not to mention jeopardize Alex's future in academia. As they navigated this hidden romance, they found solace in each other, but the weight of deception grew heavier. Alex wrestled with their emotions, torn between the joy of their connection with Daniel and the fear of what could happen if their relationship was revealed. In those moments, they understood that their love, while passionate and transformative, was precariously balanced on a knife's edge. As the weeks pass, Alex becomes more immersed in their secret relationship with Professor Wright. The thrill of their hidden romance creates a false sense of safety, blinding Alex to the potential dangers lurking just beneath the surface. However, Maya, Alex's best friend and a fellow psychology major begins to notice subtle changes in Alex's behavior. Maya's instincts tell her something is amiss. Alex has started skipping social outings, disappearing from study sessions, and returning to their apartment late at night. When they do meet up, Alex is often distracted, lost in thought, and evasive when questioned about their whereabouts. Concerned for their well-being, Maya decides to confront Alex. One afternoon, they sit together in a quiet cafe on campus. The aroma of coffee fills the air as students bustle in and out, but the noise fades into the background as Maya leans in, her expression serious. "Alex, I've noticed you've been acting different lately," Maya starts, her voice low and urgent. "You've been so distant. Is everything okay?" Alex shrugs, attempting to downplay their worries. "I'm just busy with classes and everything. You know how it is." Maya presses on, her eyes narrowing. "No, it's more than that. I think there's something you're not telling me. Are you seeing someone? Is it serious?" A flash of panic crosses Alex's face, but they quickly mask it with a smile. "I'm fine, really. Just focusing on school." Maya doesn't buy it. "Alex, please. You can talk to me about anything. If you're with someone, I just want to make sure they treat you right. You deserve to be with someone who cares about you." The weight of Maya's words settles heavily on Alex, but instead of confessing, they feel a rush of defensiveness. "I appreciate your concern, but I can handle myself. Trust me, it's not what you think." Maya's brow furrows, concern deepening. "If you're keeping secrets, it can't be good. I just don't want you to get hurt. Please be careful." With a mix of irritation and guilt, Alex brushes off the conversation, dismissing Maya's worries as overreactions. The fear of judgment and the desire to protect their burgeoning relationship with Daniel push Alex to keep the truth hidden, but inside, a nagging sense of dread begins to settle. As the affair deepens, the dynamic shifts, revealing darker undercurrents in Professor Wright's affections. Initially, their relationship is thrilling, filled with stolen glances and whispered conversations in empty hallways. However, Daniel's feelings begin to morph into something more consuming and possessive. Daniel's obsession takes root slowly, manifesting in a series of small demands that escalate over time. He insists on meeting more frequently, insisting on study sessions that inevitably lead to passionate encounters. What began as a shared excitement becomes an unspoken expectation. Daniel wants Alex to be available at his beck and call. One evening, as they sit in Daniel's dimly lit office, he leans closer, his voice low and intense. "You know, I can't stop thinking about you, Alex. You're brilliant, and you have so much potential. We could be incredible together if you just let go of everything else holding you back." Alex shifts uncomfortably, sensing the weight of his words. "I can't just abandon my life, Daniel. I'm working hard for my degree. I have friends, responsibilities." Daniel's demeanor changes, his eyes narrowing. "You don't need those people. They won't understand us, and they'll only get in the way. You have to choose, Alex. It's either me or them." Alex feels a chill run down their spine, a sense of entrapment creeping in. What started as a romantic escape now feels more like a cage. They find themselves torn between their affection for Daniel and the realization that his possessiveness is suffocating. Despite these red flags, Alex struggles to break free. The emotional high of being desired by someone so charismatic and influential keeps them entangled, even as their gut instinct warns them that this path could lead to disaster. Meanwhile, in the shadows of their relationship, Daniel's wife, Catherine, begins to notice the changes in her husband. His late nights and distracted demeanor raise suspicions, and she can't shake the feeling that something is wrong. The warmth of their marriage has faded, replaced by a chilling distance that leaves her feeling isolated and confused. One day, after overhearing a hushed phone conversation between Daniel and Alex, Catherine's worst fears begin to crystallize. The intimacy in his voice is unmistakable, and her heart races with anxiety. Who is this person stealing her husband's affection? Unable to confront Daniel directly, Catherine takes matters into her own hands. She hires a private investigator, hoping to uncover the truth. As the investigator digs into Daniel's life, Catherine's unease grows. She watches from a distance, her heart sinking with each passing day. The evidence begins to mount, and Catherine's worst fears are confirmed. Daniel is having an affair. With the reality of the situation settling in, Catherine's emotions fluctuate between heartbreak and rage. She finds herself spiraling into a dark place, torn between wanting to confront Daniel and fearing the ramifications of exposing the affair. As she gathers more evidence, the tension rises, setting the stage for a confrontation that could unravel everything. The stakes become higher for both Alex and Daniel, with the threat of exposure looming ominously overhead. Alex, caught in a web of secrecy, feels the pressure intensifying. Daniel, desperate to maintain control over his life, begins to lash out, his obsession turning into paranoia. The delicate balance of their relationship hangs by a thread, and as the truth inches closer to the surface, the danger escalates, threatening to shatter their lives irrevocably. As the weeks passed, Daniel Wright felt the noose tightening around his neck. The once exhilarating thrill of his secret romance with Alex had devolved into a gnawing paranoia. The whispers of potential exposure echoed in his mind like a relentless drumbeat. He could almost hear the disapproving murmurs of his colleagues, the pitying looks from his students, and worst of all, the fury of his wife, Catherine. Every day, he watched as Alex became a larger part of his life, both an escape from his stagnant marriage and a reminder of everything he stood to lose. With each passing moment, Daniel's infatuation shifted from a tender love affair to an overwhelming obsession. He envisioned Alex not just as a lover, but as the key to his happiness. Yet, paradoxically, he began to see Alex as a threat. The thought of losing Alex ignited a fire of desperation within him. The once clear lines of right and wrong blurred in his mind, leading him down a dark path of irrationality. In hushed conversations with himself, Daniel contemplated the worst outcomes of his situation. The stakes were too high: his career, his reputation, his very identity. He spent sleepless nights tossing and turning, haunted by the fear of being discovered. As Alex started expressing concerns about their future, hinting at wanting to end their relationship, Daniel felt a primal urge to cling tighter. The very thought of Alex leaving pushed him over the edge. He couldn't allow that to happen. He was determined to fight for what he wanted, even if it meant crossing a line he had never imagined he would. On a stormy Wednesday night, tension hung thick in the air as Alex made their way to Daniel's office for what they intended to be a definitive end to their relationship. The campus was deserted, rain drumming a chaotic rhythm against the windows as they approached the dimly lit building. Alex's heart raced, a mix of fear and determination coursing through them. They had come to realize that this relationship, once a source of warmth and comfort, had become a dangerous entanglement. They couldn't ignore the whispers of caution from their friends, particularly Maya, any longer. It was time to reclaim their life. As Alex entered Daniel's office, the familiar scent of old books and coffee surrounded them, triggering a flood of bittersweet memories. Daniel was already there, pacing back and forth, his face a mask of anxiety and frustration. His eyes lit up when he saw Alex, but the joy was fleeting, quickly overshadowed by a looming shadow of desperation. Alex, I'm glad you came, Daniel said, attempting to maintain his composure. His voice was tight, betraying the turmoil beneath the surface. Daniel, we need to talk, Alex replied, steeling themselves. They took a deep breath, summoning the courage to voice their thoughts. I can't do this anymore. It's too risky. We both knew this couldn't last. A flicker of panic crossed Daniel's face. You can't be serious. We can make this work. We just need to be more careful, he pleaded, stepping closer, reaching out as if to touch Alex's arm. But Alex recoiled slightly, sensing the shift in his demeanor. Careful? How much more careful can we be? If anyone finds out, Alex's voice trembled with the weight of their words. I can't jeopardize my future for this. It's not just about us anymore. Daniel's expression darkened, and his desperation morphed into anger. So you're just going to throw it all away? Just like that? His tone turned accusatory, as if Alex was the villain in this story. You're everything to me, Alex. I can't lose you. Daniel, you're not listening. I'm not the one who can't let go. Alex shouted, frustration boiling over. You need to understand that this isn't sustainable. I have to put my well-being first. The confrontation escalated, voices rising in the enclosed space, the air thick with unspoken fears and the rawness of their emotions. In a moment of rage, fueled by a concoction of desperation and confusion, Daniel's demeanor shifted entirely. He lunged forward, pushing Alex away from him in a sudden burst of anger, as if trying to shove away the very idea of losing them. Alex stumbled back, shock and disbelief clouding their vision. They lost their balance, the world spinning around them as they crashed into the corner of Daniel's heavy oak desk. The sharp impact resonated through the office, a sickening thud echoing in the stillness, and then silence. In that instant, time seemed to freeze. Daniel's heart dropped as he rushed to Alex, panic flooding his senses. He knelt beside them, the reality of the moment crashing down like the storm outside. The life he had fought so hard to hold on to now teetered on the brink of disaster. Alex lay motionless, their body unnaturally contorted. The breath caught in Daniel's throat, realization dawning upon him with brutal clarity. This was not an accident. It was a consequence of his obsession, a manifestation of the madness that had consumed him. He had crossed an unforgivable line. As the weight of the situation crushed down on him, Daniel's mind raced, swirling with fear and guilt. He had to act quickly, to cover up the truth before it spiraled out of control. In that moment of desperation, he made a choice that would haunt him forever. The air in the office was thick with tension after the fatal confrontation. Time seemed to freeze, as Daniel Wright stared in disbelief at the still figure of Alex Carter, their bodies sprawled unnaturally on the floor. His heart raced as the reality of what just happened settled in a whirlwind of emotions clouded his mind. Panic, guilt, fear. Daniel's first instinct was to call for help, but the gravity of the situation pressed down on him like a heavy weight. The thought of losing everything, the admiration of his students, his respected career, and the seemingly perfect life with his wife overwhelmed him. Instead of reaching for his phone, he quickly glanced around the dimly lit office, searching for a way to manipulate the scene. Daniel carefully lifted Alex's body, positioning it in a way that made it look less like an accident and more like a tragic fall. He could hear his own breath quickening as he frantically wiped away any fingerprints he might have left behind. Every movement felt deliberate, yet rushed, his mind racing through every possible scenario of exposure. Once he was satisfied with the arrangement, he slipped out of the office, casting one last look over his shoulder to ensure no one had witnessed the chaos. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest as he walked through the empty corridors, feigning calmness while chaos swirled within. He felt like an actor in a play, desperately trying to remember his lines, while feeling the audience's gaze bearing down on him. When he finally stepped out into the cool night air, the reality of his actions began to set in, and a chill ran down his spine. He drove home in silence, the weight of his secret pressing heavily on his shoulders. As he entered his house, the familiar scent of his wife's cooking wafted through the air, a stark contrast to the turmoil raging inside him. He plastered on a smile, greeting Catherine as if nothing had happened, forcing himself to engage in casual conversation about her day. "Everything okay?" Catherine asked, glancing at him with concern. "Of course," he replied too quickly. "Just tired from a long day at work." As the evening progressed, Daniel forced himself to partake in family routines, all the while feeling the disconnect between his life and the dark secret he harbored. Yet, as he lay in bed that night, he knew he had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. His mind raced with thoughts of Alex and the consequences of his actions, but he buried those feelings beneath a facade of normalcy. The following day, the university was abuzz with rumors surrounding Alex's tragic death. The administration held an emergency meeting, and the police were called in to investigate what had initially been reported as an accident. The somber atmosphere cast a shadow over the campus, and students whispered about the kind-hearted student whose life had been cut short. Alex's friends, particularly Maya, found it hard to accept that it had been an accident. Maya had seen the signs, the late-night rendezvous, the nervous energy in Alex's voice when discussing their classes with Professor Wright. Something felt off, and she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than what was being revealed. Determined to uncover the truth, Maya approached the authorities, expressing her doubts about the accident. "You need to look deeper," she insisted to the police officer handling the case. "Alex wouldn't just fall and die like that. There's something wrong here." Maya's concerns led her to dig into Alex's life, speaking with classmates and combing through social media for any hints of the relationship with Professor Wright. Her gut told her that their secret romance was the key to understanding what really happened. Each conversation peeled back layers of Alex's life, revealing a student who was both vulnerable and full of potential. As the investigation deepened, Catherine, suspicious of her husband's erratic behavior in the days following Alex's death, began to take matters into her own hands. After noticing subtle changes in Daniel's demeanor and catching him in vague lies, she decided to hire a private investigator to uncover the truth. The investigator, armed with determination and resources, started digging into Daniel's life, reviewing his phone records, and speaking with colleagues at the university. It wasn't long before they stumbled upon evidence of Daniel's affair with Alex. Text messages filled with affection and secret meeting locations painted a clear picture of the relationship that Daniel had tried so hard to conceal. With the evidence collected, Catherine confronted Daniel, demanding answers. "I know about Alex," she said, her voice trembling with anger and betrayal. "What happened? Did you kill them?" Faced with the mounting evidence and the realization that his life was crumbling around him, Daniel was forced into a corner. As the police received tips from both Maya and the private investigator, they began to piece together the truth behind Alex's death, leading them to Daniel. With the investigation unfolding, the tragic story of a hidden romance gone wrong would soon reveal itself, exposing the complexities of love, power, and betrayal, leaving a wake of destruction in its path. As the investigation into Alex's tragic death begins, the campus community is rocked with shock and disbelief. Initial reports suggest an accident, but questions arise due to the unusual circumstances surrounding Alex's fall. Detectives from the local police department interview students and faculty, focusing on the timeline leading up to that fateful night. Maya, heartbroken and frustrated by the official narrative, takes it upon herself to dig deeper. She recalls how Alex had confided in her, about feeling uneasy in their relationship with Professor Wright, hinting at the professor's possessiveness and controlling behavior. Maya approaches the investigators, armed with her insights and the growing suspicions that something more sinister occurred. As the detectives interview more students, they uncover testimonies about seeing Alex leaving the professor's office on multiple occasions. These accounts, paired with security footage showing Alex entering the office the night of their death, begin to paint a clearer picture of the relationship's nature. The investigators also learn about the private investigator hired by Catherine, Daniel's wife, which reveals evidence of the affair and the professor's attempts to cover up his involvement. Maya's insistence on uncovering the truth resonates with the investigators, who dive into Daniel's background. They scrutinize his academic record, personal life, and the potential motive for murder. As they gather more evidence, text messages exchanged between Daniel and Alex, and eyewitness accounts from students who witnessed their interactions, the weight of the evidence begins to mount against him. With the investigation progressing, the authorities confront Daniel at his home, presenting him with the findings. The confrontation is tense. He initially tries to deny any wrongdoing, but as the evidence stacks up against him, Daniel's facade begins to crumble. Realizing the gravity of his situation, he attempts to manipulate the narrative, claiming that Alex was unstable and that he was merely trying to help. Despite his efforts, Daniel is arrested for involuntary manslaughter, sending shockwaves through the university. News of the scandal spreads rapidly, stirring outrage and sorrow among students and faculty alike. Many express their disbelief that a respected professor could be involved in such a heinous act, while others feel a profound sense of betrayal. As the trial approaches, the media coverage intensifies, sparking broader conversations about the power dynamics inherent in relationships between students and professors, particularly focusing on the vulnerability of transgender individuals like Alex. Activists and LGBTQ+ organizations rally in support of Alex, advocating for greater protections and awareness within educational institutions. Ultimately, Daniel is found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, resulting in a prison sentence that shatters his career and personal life. The once respected professor is now a cautionary tale, emblematic of the consequences of abuse of power and privilege. His conviction sends a message to the academic community about the importance of protecting students and holding those in authority accountable. The story culminates with Maya standing at a candlelight vigil organized to honor Alex's memory. Surrounded by fellow students, faculty, and LGBTQ+ advocates, Maya reflects on the life of her beloved friend. She speaks passionately about Alex's courage to live authentically in a world that often refused to accept them. In her speech, Maya emphasizes the need for awareness regarding the struggles faced by transgender individuals, particularly in academic settings where power imbalances can lead to devastating outcomes. She calls for policy changes that ensure better support systems for LGBTQ+ students, including safe spaces, mental health resources, and training for faculty on issues of consent and boundaries. As the vigil concludes, attendees release lanterns into the night sky, symbolizing hope and remembrance. Maya feels a renewed sense of purpose. She vows to continue advocating for those who feel marginalized, ensuring that Alex's legacy serves as a beacon for change. The tragic events serve as a catalyst for broader conversations and initiatives aimed at protecting vulnerable communities, leaving an indelible mark on the university and beyond.